I knew just from also reading the script and watching the dailies and see the movie come together and the more conversations that we had, I was excited because I knew that it would shake the table and I knew that it would create dialogue. And for me, I'm an over communicator. I'm like a great debater. I love healthy dialogue. You know, I love when we can discuss harsh reality, harsh truths, uncomfortable conversations, but in a healthy way. I like when conversations can be had, you know? So I was prepared for that, but also didn't let my mind get too wrapped up in the rabbit hole of think pieces and different things like that. You know, it's kind of like we're here and we're gonna stand on it, you know? And it was even as a woman and playing this character and reading this character and seeing what this character has been through was also a harsh truth that I had to accept. You know what I'm saying? So even if it was like, ooh, I'm gonna take it back, but like, are we not fetishized? You know, are we not over sexualized? Are we not, you know, are we not dealing with postpartum depression? You know, is this not how this is being navigated? Like, I think he hit on a lot of things that it's like, this was written 20 years ago and is very relevant today. I think we definitely dive into what's happening. I think the whole point of it is to shake the table and create that that dialogue, you know, and Perfidia is very complex, and there's people out here that are very complex, and you know, even though we don't agree with a lot of the things that Perfidia do, I think we all can agree with the fact that she's a badass and she's 10 toes down on who she is unapologetically, you know. But you also see the repercussions of greed, being power hungry, and that's what with everybody. You see the pissing contest between Perfidia and Lockjaw. You see the pride and Bob. You see Perfidia wanting to show up for herself. You see her also feel like she's all she got and feel alone and feel ignored. And you know, you also see her be selfish, and you just see the results and of the decisions that we make, and you know what position that put Baby Willa in. You know what I'm saying? But also, I think the part that does become personal is when people, which is, I guess, is a good thing as well. Like they're so in tune in the movie that it start to make them feel a way about you. And I'm like, hey, you guys, remember, it's just a character. You know what I'm saying? Like, Perfidia needed to fall for Willa to rise. I needed to anchor myself in this moment. So when she anchors herself and you don't see her again, it's like we get to continue this story. We have to continue this story. So also understanding that if Perfidia hadn't made the decision she made, what would the rest of the movie be like? What would it be about? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here to support. I'm supporting in this, you know what I'm saying? And that's why I think it is important, like the letter at the end when we go into the 16 years later and very little has changed, you know what I'm saying? And you see the things that's happening in the world and still, as you can see, very little has changed. And also going into the letter, you know, you kind of feel like, you know, when she asked her, like, are you happy? Do you have love? Will you try and change the world like I did? We tried and we failed, but maybe you will not, you know? And I think that, you know, it's you seeing a person understand, like you hear the 16 years go by in Perfidia's voice. You hear a more vulnerable, more, you know, accountable person. You know, it doesn't change the mistakes that she made, but I think that that's the part that's the humanity of it. That's what makes this movie so brilliant, because it's so human and it's so raw and it's touchable. You know, it's literally one battle after another every single day. Life be life and for all of us. You know what I'm saying? And I think that those are the part of the layers that we found in this movie, and that's what we wanted to create. I think that's the soft spot that people have for one battle after another. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yes, it's some topics that we don't want to face that's very, very uncomfortable, but then it's just like, wow, I fucking feel that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel that I can relate here. You can relate to Deandra in ways. You can relate to Perfidia in ways of in regards to being selfish and putting yourself first. And I feel like as women, you know, we are, you know, taught to quiet down if we speak up, or sit down if we stand up, or, you know, like, you're not allowed to have that level of confidence. It's too much. You're too much, you know, or just being a woman and just showing up for everybody before we show up for ourselves, you know? So it's like, in hindsight, even though literally, you know, we don't agree with a lot of things that she do, it's like, in another realm, it's kind of like, the girl put herself first, you know, because nobody else would. You know, we hear her behind that door, you know, speaking on her postpartum depression. And we also see Bob put his ear to the door. Did he step in? He could have. You know what I'm saying? You could have step in the first time, see me the first time, hear me the first time. So I think that, you know, that's what make it really dope. And I appreciate people who've seen it more than once, because when you see it, you start to catch other little Easter eggs, and you really do realize, like, it is one thing after another and one battle after another. Like, would it have went differently if he just stepped through the door and heard her and seen her and acknowledged her? You know what I'm saying? Did she feel like, you know what, I don't want to play house. Nobody doing this revolution like me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, she was fighting for something. And in the midst of fighting for something, her selfishness kind of kicked in and it all backfired. But we all knew Perfidia's goal. You know, she just wanted to change the world, and she failed, yes. But I have faith that Willa would not, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's the things, and that's the conversations that I like to have, you know. And I am getting more comfortable with having these conversations about people's different think pieces and stuff, because at first, you know, I didn't want to go down a rabbit hole of getting into people's think pieces, because I didn't want to come from a place of taking it personal. But I want to come from a place of being human and what's real. I think sometimes we see movies and expect everybody to be a hero and to have on a cape, you know what I'm saying? And we're not allowed to be weak. We're not allowed to feel. We're not allowed to be vulnerable. And I think that you seen Perfidia go through all those different emotions. I'm gonna take the cape off. I know I should have been a superhero on this one, but I don't fucking feel like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm ready to do the rest. I still want to fight. Bob is like, girl, we getting old. You know, let's settle down. Let's do a family. You heard me crying through the door. You ain't even walked through to tell me, girl, you look good. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm for you. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it just goes to show how as people not to ignore the signs and how we can show up and how we can be present.